Today I'll be explaining the Iranian oil crisis while attempting to win games in Clash Royale with a geeked out bridge spam deck of doom and despair. I have notes on my screen so I don't talk in circles, but I'm not just reading some article, this is information I've gathered, and I hope you enjoy. So there's this waterway between Iran and Oman. It's 21 miles wide, and right now it's basically closed. That's why your gas costs more, that's why groceries are about to cost more, that's why hospitals might start rationing MRI scans. All of it traces back to these 21 miles of water. The entire Persian Gulf is the equivalent of a bathtub with one drain. And pay attention to that analogy because I'll use it a couple more times throughout this video. Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, the UAE, Qatar, they all sit inside of it. And every drop of oil and gas that they sell to the world has to squeeze through that one gap on the way out. That gap is called the Strait of Hormuz. It carries about 20% of the world's oil. It carries about 20% of the world's oil, and there's no alternate route that comes even close. Iran is located right next to the drain of this bathtub. On February 28th, the US and Israel... Wait a minute. Okay. On February 28th, the US and Israel launched airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. Iran had been enriching uranium to near weapons-grade levels. They had gotten it to 84%, when civilian power only needs 5%. Diplomacy failed for years, and the two allies decided that they were pretty much done talking. So, boom, airstrikes onto Iran, and Iran knew that they couldn't beat the US military, so they didn't even try. Really? Okay, sweet. Instead of trying to fight fight back, fire with fire, etc., they decided to close that drain. Because again, they have control over the strait. And this is kind of where it gets a little bit strange. The US doesn't even buy much Gulf oil directly. We're mostly energy independent, so why do you even care? You care because oil is priced globally. It's one big pool. When 20% of the supply disappears, everyone competing for what's left drives all the prices up, including just some guy in Ohio who's never thought about Iran once in his life. By early March, oil hit... Oh my god. Oh! Wait, that's good. I mean, it's kind of bad, because Marcher, but it's kind of good. As long as we take that out... Whoa! Perfect! By early March, oil hit $126 per barrel, and gas in California shot higher than $5 per gallon. For perspective, before the airstrikes, those numbers were sitting around $63 for the oil and $3.80 for the gas. That makes this the biggest monthly price jump ever recorded. Oil is the headline, but there's a lot more to it than that, so now I'm going to go through some of the implications. Okay, that... Oh! Holy juke! And that gets damage on tower? That's beautiful. That was so good. What an incredible series by me. I'm just the best. Anyway, now I'm going to lose. Here are some implications. Fertilizer. That's... Oh. No. This is really bad. Good game. No. Oh my goodness. Let's talk about fertilizer. The Gulf produces nearly half of the world's urea, which is the most common fertilizer on Earth. Prices jumped 40 to 50% overnight, which is nuts because American corn farmers need fertilizer in the ground right now during spring planting. And if they can't afford it, they plant less. And less corn means less feed for livestock. And so pretty much what I'm saying here is that your grocery bill in 2027 is being written right now. The hell? What's even happening? My god, bruh. Helium is the second implication. Qatar produces a third of the world's commercial helium as a byproduct of natural gas. And when their plants shut down, helium stops too. No. No, this is not A-okay. This is A-O bad. Good game. So if helium stops when their plants shut down and MRI machines run on helium, we're in a pickle because there's literally no substitute for the MRIs. Hospitals are already rationing, which is insane and low-key scary. Plus, helium also cools the silicon wafers that make our phones chips, so there's another potential avenue for price hikes. Another effect will be on EV batteries. Okay. Synthetic graphite is what your EV anode is made of. The anode is an essential part of the battery that allows it to charge and discharge. Anyway, the synthetic... Oh, I just placed a battle ram into a Tesla? Really? At least his skeleton sucked. Nope. Useless dash. I mean, I guess. He probably just cycled to his Evo wall breakers. Anyway, this synthetic graphite comes from petroleum byproducts. And when refineries optimize their processes for $120 oil, they'll try to mitigate all the cheaper byproducts, causing graphite supply to shrink. That means even the Tesla bros who don't rely on oil directly aren't immune to this whole crisis. Copper's the next one. Sulfur is a byproduct of Gulf refining. When you produce oil, unintentionally copper comes out too. Sulfur makes sulfuric acid, and sulfuric acid is used to mine copper in Chile, one of the world's biggest producers. Stay with me. China already banned sulfuric acid imports. China already banned sulfuric acid exports, and they were a big player in the whole system. Why does this matter? Well, copper is the backbone for solar panels, wind turbines, and EV motors, which is literally the stuff that we'd need in order to even stop depending on the Gulf in the first place. Damn. Is he literally just gonna rocket? If he rockets again. Wow. I should have seen that coming, in fairness. Oops. But now I can build up a big push that he can't rocket. Right? 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 I can build up a big push, right? Okay. I guess not. Dang! I'm playing really poorly. It's chill. Anyway. So, EV motors, wind turbines, solar panels, all things that we would need if we wanted to stop relying on oil, all use copper, which in a certain way relies on oil. So, the general gist there is that, as we speak, the war is cutting off the supply chain for its own solution. Let's see here. If he rockets that... Oh, no. I'll just fireball. I can't be bothered. If he rockets... He's not going to rocket. Okay, that's fair. Man. Hold on. We could break through here. He seems to be, like, stalling. He just used the Tesla. Wait a minute. This could be really good. That's huge damage. Oh, I used the dash instead of the guy dashing back. I was so confused. I was like, what? Anyway. Okay, so he's gonna rocket there. I don't mind because now I can fireball here. Hold on. Okay, now we dash back. And we hit the tower. Good game. This has to be good game. For the first 6 weeks of the war, Iran kept their own oil flowing through the strait, while charging other ships over $1 million per crossing just to pass. They pretty much ran the greatest toll booth in human history, accumulating nearly $5 billion in oil exports in a single month, while the rest of the world couldn't even get through. On April 13th, the US responded, marcher in the back. US responded with a full naval blockade on Iranian ports, which worked to squeeze Iran, but also pulled even more oil off the market. So, yeah, starving Iran out worked in theory, but the player caught in the middle is the entire world economy. So, not that anyone's asking, but my takeaway is this. The world built its entire energy... Kite with the battle ram? Kite with the battle ram? No! Oops. I think we just throw this game. Is that sucky to say? Is that bad vibes? Damn. Anyway, the world built its entire energy supply chain around this one 21-mile choke point, and then spent 50 years pretending the country living next to it was just a regional problem. But as we know, in a globalized world, geography is the closest thing you can have to a superpower. Unless you're Wakanda and they have their own little superpowers. Anyway, you don't need a strong military, but to use our earlier analogy, you just need to live next to the drain. But he has Hog too? What else does this guy need? Yeah, there's nothing my P.E.K.K.A can do. Now, the effects aren't immediate. The fertilizer shortage is expected to hit harvests in October. Food prices will hit the stores in 2027. Good. If we kill the P.E.K.K.A and fireball these two, we're good. Okay, anyway. The helium shortage hits MRI wait times over the next 6 months. Dude, calm down. And most people will never connect their grocery bill in January 2027 to a military strike that happened in February 2026. The chain is just too long and invisible. But when you really sit down to contemplate it, come on, someone do something. Ref, do something. Ref, do something. Why'd I fireball nothing? Ref, do something. Ref, do something. No. Wait. No, my fireball won't get down in time. When you really sit down to contemplate it and consider 21 miles with no other way out and one country at the exit, it kind of makes you wonder why we didn't think harder about that before getting into this mess. Anyway, that was a failure and a half. 4 takes is already too many. I think we're calling it here. Was that tough? Chat.